ladies and gentlemen, it's Saturday night. You're saying, well, what are you doing on Sportswire Radio? Usually on Fridays. Well, we got a special treat here tonight because our guest is just days away from arguably maybe the biggest match of his career because he's going to be in the ring on Bank Holiday at the Hare Hills Labor Club in Leeds for the new British Promotions title against a man he's actually squared off in the ring against. And he's got a decorated career in his own right, and it very well could be the capping of his career. Allens, my friend, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having us. You done with that? What the hell was that?
No, it's something different here. That's what we do here on Sports.
Yeah, definitely something different, pal.
Definitely something different. I'm sure something you're not used to, but we're going to talk about what you're going to be doing next week, next Monday, Bank Holiday, Hare Hills Labor Club in
That's
Leeds.
right.
You're going to be squaring off for the new British Promotions title against Tommy Rocker, a man you've been in the ring with. So for those that are listening and watching here on Sportswire Radio, hearing you for the first time, the Juggernaut Jon Allens, set the tables how you're going to walk away and take that title away from Tommy Rocker.
So you're asking me how I'm going to take that title from Tommy?
Yes, sir.
It's pretty simple, really. I'm going to batter him. I'm going to leave him pretty much broken. I'm going to pin him. 1, 2, 3. That's how I'm going to do it. Now, you don't need to know all the details because if he starts watching this, then he's going to have an idea of what's coming. So I'm not stupid, you see. I'm going to keep it under my hat, even though I'm not wearing a hat. And, so basically, I'm just going to give him more than he can deal with. And I'm going to take that title away from him.
I got that. Obviously, it takes a 1, 2, 3 to win the title, and I'll give you that. Fair play that he's going to watch this. People are going to watch this on Instagram, wherever it might be. So I'll give you that much. But I will ask you something, in that you've been in the ring with Tommy Rocker. Now, unlike his other title defenses, where those individuals like the likes of Johnny Storm, Martin, and Kirby, maybe they hadn't been in the ring with a Tommy Rocker. Is your advantage here going into next Monday, Bank Holiday, is the fact that you've actually been in the ring with Tommy Rocker, and you've probably had revenge on your mind now for about, I would say, 8 or 9 months.
Yeah, I've been in the ring with Tommy once before, but I've known Tommy for a lot longer than that. So I've seen him around. I know what he's capable of. I know what he can do. So I think that gives me a bit more of an advantage being around it, running the same sort of circles as he has. Whereas a Johnny Storm and a Martin Kirby, as great as they are, Johnny Storm, absolute legend in British wrestling.
I see him in TNA. I remember watching.
Yeah, exactly. Like and Martin Kirby, big star, but they've never really been around Tommy, I don't think. So they kind of went in blind. Great guys, great competitors, but they just kind of went into that match completely blind to what Tommy was all about. Whereas I've seen it. I know what he's got. I've been on the end of it as well, so
understood.
I know what I'm getting in for.
All right, let me ask you this question. And I think those are absolutely fair points because Johnny Storm and Martin Kirby, they wrestle in so many different places. They don't really get a chance to study the tape. They go into it, and whatever it's up, that's on them, right? But how much maybe have you gone back and watched that match, or maybe learned from some of the things you did or even didn't do in order to come away with the title next Monday?
Yeah, I think he was lucky, really lucky to walk away with a victory that time. In terms of me admitting I made a mistake, I don't think I made a mistake. I don't think there was any mistakes made in that match. If anything, he probably cheated. I was the ref on his side, something like that. Well,
I have to ask you, what happened with those kids? I mean, you had kids attacking you, it seemed like, several times throughout the match. What happened there?
So I'm not just against one guy, am I? I'm against everybody else in that building. Yep. Right? So how's that fair on me? There you go. So there you go. You've just answered the question yourself, haven't you? So he cheated by getting all those people to try and attack me at ringside.
So how do you then combat that going into an environment where maybe in a way, for the sports fans out there, he's got a home field advantage where, from your perspective, it's not going to be an even playing field. So how do you go about that?
Well, for some reason, and I don't understand why, everybody seems to love this Tommy Rocker. I don't get it. I've been this close to him, and I don't understand the appeal, to be honest. But I don't know. I think I've just got to try and push all these idiots in the crowd out of my mind and just focus on kicking his head in. I think that's it. And if they try and do what they did last time, then they might be getting one of them as well. So just be on notice.
Maybe it's to pour some sugar on me and he comes out to it. It kind of mesmerizes his fans. I don't know. I don't know.
He's doing something, and they like him. Maybe it's the taped up shoulder, which I have noticed. So watch that, Tommy, because you shouldn't be advertising you've got a weakness like that. But I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know. I don't know. The guy's an idiot. The guy sucks.
All right, well, we're going to certainly find out.
He's not a very good person, is he? Because he has to cheat and stuff. So there you
go. Okay, well, I mean, obviously from his vantage point,
I never cheat, by the way. Not once.
All right, well, we'll certainly find out. I'll give you that much. But, I mean, there were a lot of things you did, I felt, in watching the match. And I was really glad that I got a chance to watch this match before we got a chance to speak, because it kind of gave me an idea of what I think some of the things you will do actually coming up here next Monday, again, at the Hare Hills Labor Club for the new British Promotions title against Tommy Rocker, is that I think you did take it to him in the outside, and you basically, for the match, as you correctly pointed out, you did control the match. I mean, you pretty much had, I would say, of that 14, 15-minute match, I would say for about 70% of it, I think you controlled it. I think one thing you did, again, don't tell us what you're going to do. Like you said, I'll give you that much. Don't tell us. But I think from one of the reasons why you might be successful is I think you kind of got into his head a little bit. And I think one of the things you do best in the ring, and tell me your thoughts on this. Again, don't tell me, like I said for the second time, don't tell me what you're going to do to win this. But you have a very much like, how can I put this, like old school ring mentality. You have a very much like Four Horsemen, NWA-ish vibe when you're in the ring for the Americans that might know me. And I mean, what's your perspective on all that?
Was there a question there?
Basically,
was there a question there?
So the question's basically in terms of what you did in that match, where I think you kind of had ring psychology.
Okay.
You slowed the match down. You were very much kind of like, how can I put it? Like a very much NWA, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson type in the ring, just battered him. And
well, it's all about Brice isolating a part of his body and trying to hurt it as much as possible. So he either can't continue or he doesn't want to continue. And then he just lays there 1, 2, 3. I don't know if you noticed at the end of that match, perhaps I did get a little bit frustrated.
You did, yes, you did, yeah. And the reason you
with
lost
the chair,
the match, actually, I'm glad you brought this up here because you technically lost the match. Really, in kind of, I don't know if it was like I've ever seen that before. You're about to hit him. We think that the referee's gonna, for whatever reason, take the chair, possibly, but the chair sort of bounces back and hits you and. He kind of gets that fluky 1, 2, 3 going back to my point.
So what he did is he cheated because he moved, obviously.
Right.
Everyone there was something went on. I don't know how he knew I was coming. Somebody told him or something. He's not psychic, is he? But he knew. He moved and then plonk on the ropes. Boom. Knocked myself out. There you go. Not much I can do about that. But I wouldn't have got that chair if he'd not done something to wind me up first.
So would you say then that he should have been disqualified? Is that what you're saying? Or
what, for getting all the people on the outside involved in the match? Yeah, I mean, outside interference, that's a disqualification, is it not?
That's up to the referee, though. I mean, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, the referee. Let's not even get started with the referee.
So
it better not be the same referee.
So would you have liked then, let's say, from the record books, to have changed that instead of a pinfall loss to a disqualification victory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course. Right. Why would I want to lose? I don't want to lose. It's as simple, right? You whether you win or whether you lose depends on how much money you get paid. All right. So if you win, you get more money. So guess who loses? You, right? It's as simple as that. But it just didn't happen that way, did it? For me that night.
No, it did not. But I'm going to ask you then the question that a lot of people are going to want to know, obviously going into next Monday. What would it mean to you to be the new British Promotions champion?
I mean, I think it's deserved. I think
Okay.
not just for me. I think the people, the fans, they deserve it. They deserve to get to come and see me as the champ. Doing what I do, battering people. It's a good show. People go to watch wrestling because they like to see people getting battered, and that's what I do. I'm good at it. So there we go. In terms of why should I be the champ? Why not? How close did we come last time?
Fair play. No, listen, certainly you did become very close to winning that title, and I would even argue that because of a fluke, you might have that championship. So fair play to you. And so I guess then I'll ask you the question. Let's say hypothetically, as you point out, basically watching the match, everybody can go back on YouTube, do a search, Tommy Rocker versus Jon Allens, the Juggernaut, and you can see for yourself on who should have won the match. So let's say hypothetically you win next Monday. You're the champion. You're the
There's
NBPW
no
title.
hypothetical about it.
All
I
right,
mean,
but
it's just that's happening.
well, it's still a match. You still got to go out there and actually do it. At the end of the
Yeah,
day,
right.
it still has to happen. So let's say you win the title. What would you do different that Tommy Rocker hasn't done?
I probably wouldn't pander to all them idiots that come to pay. Pay to come and see the champ, and he's there. Oh, they're so great. Oh, come take a picture. Nah, sod that. Not doing that. You want to you want to see the champ, you pay. Simple as that.
Okay, all right. Well, you know what? That's
I'm
certainly
not going to
fair.
pander to all them idiots.
So what would you do then? I mean, I get you don't want to pander, but what would you do then exactly?
I would come to the building. I'd get changed. I'd go out in the main event with whichever poor idiots decided or, has ended up being booked against me that night. I'd make very short work of him, probably within 5 minutes, 10 minutes if I wanted to, make a bit of a show of it. And then I'd beat him. I'd raise that belt up for everyone to see. And then I'd get in my car and I'd leave.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I mean, that could very well be the case. And I want everybody, if you are on Facebook and Instagram, to follow the Juggernaut Jon Allens. Real Jon Allens PW. That's on Facebook and Instagram. Also, our friends over at New British Promotions Wrestling. Please follow them as well. NBP Wrestling. Also, please make sure to follow them. They have a page on Facebook as well. And my name, again, is the Reverend Tom Brice. And if you are on Sportswire Radio, we are going to be back also with a full slate of coverage tomorrow as well. So stay tuned for further details later in the show. As right now we are here with the Juggernaut Jon Allens. Just about 9 days away until Bank Holiday could obviously be his moment where he wins his championship. Also want to say hello to another wrestler, former Puerto Rican national champion, also here from the state of New York, upstate New York, Mr. C2K Courage to Kill. He says hello, everyone. He's a big fan of yours, Jon Allens. You got fans all over the world apparently tuned in.
Okay.
So appreciate that. Probably didn't expect that, but he also wants to say from one wrestler to another, much respect. So we appreciate that very much. So I have to ask you almost as a side point here, just because we're kind of getting the chance to know you. I mean, so what got you into being a professional wrestler? You've been doing this for a while, and I was kind of wondering, what got you into doing this?
Well, I've always been a fan. When I was a kid, I got into it. My granddad got me sort of watching it. I used to watch it a lot with him. And then there was a period in my life where I just didn't really bother with wrestling. I just kind of, I don't know, I was off doing other things.
Sure.
And then at House of Pain Wrestling in Nottingham, they had an open day, and I saw that they got an open day on Facebook. And I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I've got to do it now, haven't I? Because I'm not getting any younger. So I fully expected to turn up, be very rubbish at it, get hurt, come away, wounded pride, but at least I've had a go. But what happened was I went to the open day, loved it, was good at it, and then I went 3 times a week for the next 2 years.
Wow. Well, you look like
to training.
Wrestler. You do look like one, by the way. You look like a wrestler, so you should have been a wrestler. It means you look like you should be a guy that should have been in the ring and should have.
I should have done it before. I think I should have done it earlier, but it just wasn't the right time for me, I think.
All right. Well, you know what? Sometimes things happen for a reason, and we're glad to
Yeah.
see you out there in the ring, and certainly looking forward to the show coming up here next Monday. Also, want to give a shout out to my guest Monday night. He'll be in your chair. That is the Big Cheese Logan. He's the CWE UK champion. He was just hanging out with Post Malone 2 days ago, and he's here with us. Says, "Good evening, gents. The sunshine is beaming, and it's bringing out positive vibes. It ain't easy being cheesy." I appreciate that. Thank you very much for tuning in here. So, I want to ask you. Obviously, speaking about this match here against Tommy Rocker, I could see
Hmm.
you don't like him, and you also bring up the referees. Now, I was watching the NBPW social media pages when it comes to sort of the refereeing and management. I mean, are you confident that management is going to give you a fair shake here?
No, they don't want me as the champ.
Why
They
do you say that?
protected because I'm not going to do all the things that Tommy Rocker's doing. I'm sure that the promotion loves that, huh? Right,
Well, I'm going to say something
all the
totally
kids love
different.
him. They all want to pay
I'm
for an
going to say
autograph and all this.
I'm going to
Why
say
would do that?
something slightly different, and I'm going to tell you your thoughts on it. If they
Hmm?
loved him so much, though, why are you here with us, and why isn't he?
Well, that's probably because I'm more entertaining to start with.
Maybe, maybe,
Hmm.
maybe.
And I think people want to hear what I've got to say about him more than what he's got to say about me. I think. Um,
Possibly, possibly,
hmm.
possibly so. But I think you're
Maybe he's just
here.
busy. He could be busy, with the rats and everything. I imagine he gets quite a lot of action.
Ooh, boy, that's a reference there. I'm gonna plead the fifth on that. I kind of know what
Uh
you're talking about there. So, I mean, so how big would this be for your career? Now, I know you've been a champion in the past, but you've been a
huh.
tag team champion, and
That's
winning
right.
this championship, despite whatever, let's say management and let's say the fans, obviously you do it for the money, you do it for what you want to do, and God bless you for all that. But I'm gonna ask you then, in terms of your career,
Hmm.
what would this mean to you in terms of for the rest of your career, goals, whatever it might be? This would be your first singles championship. What would that mean?
Sky's the limit. You've got to start somewhere. The first one, arguably the most important. You know, it proves that you can do it. That you should be there. Um, it'd mean a lot personally. Obviously being such a big fan growing up, and never really thinking that this was any of this was ever going to be possible. But there we are. One of the longest reigning tag team champions in Aspire Wrestling Alliance history. Um, Second, really legitimately longest, with my tag partner Bully Boy Carter as United in Violence, and that was a really good sort of milestone in my career. Um, Proving that you've got what it takes to be a champion, and obviously I've yet to do that as a single. But having said that, I've done a lot more tag team wrestling than I have singles wrestling. Singles wrestling is something that I've only really started doing probably in the last couple of years, because the tag team stuff sort of fell away a little bit. My partner, he's got a life. This thing's happening in his life, so
Sure.
I've sort of branched off and gone into singles. So if let's say the outcome is what the outcome should be next Monday, then that would be, I think, a bit of a springboard. I think that will be the first of many.
I'll tell you what, we've seen it before. We've seen tag teams in wrestling, and they sort of splinter off, and
Mm.
they have a lot of success. Edge and Christian, the Hardys. I mean, there's a long list of them. We can go up and down. New Day, technically. I mean, so
Mm.
we can go down and talk about that for sure one day down the road. But I mean, how have you liked then adjusting from being a tag star to now a single star? How have you liked that adjustment?
I've always enjoyed tag wrestling. I really think that tag wrestling is kind of my forte. Um, but maybe that's because that's what I did for so long. I don't know. I like the. I just feel that sometimes in a tag match, there's a little bit more sort of. There's more options you've got. But in terms of branching out into being a single, I try and bring a lot of the mentality of going into a tag match, going into a singles. But they've got nowhere to run. this time.
Fair play, fair play. No, certainly that is the point. I was actually watching the GT Ministry show before we were in the air. We're watching the match, and they were kind of waiting for the hot tag, and the guy Maverick Matt Williams couldn't make the tag because his Gung Ho Muttley, his partner, couldn't make the tag. So certainly we've seen him go the other way. He's going from being a singles guy to a tag guy. You've made the adjustment from a tag to singles, and I was curious also. You were a champion in Aspire. You held that tag team title for a long time. In that experience, what do you take away from that to win? Let's say you win the new British Promotions title next Monday. What do you take away from that experience in order to help you representing this title you'll win next Monday?
Just making sure you're the guy, you show up. You are the guy that shows up. If you're the champ, obviously you've got a little bit more responsibility on your shoulders. Whether that's tag team, whether it's singles. No matter sort of the level of it, whether you're the heavyweight champ, whether you're the sort of the I don't know, whatever the sort of, I don't like the word secondary because I think any championship's really important.
Absolutely, I agree 1,000% on that.
If you are a champion of some description, you have the responsibility to carry that championship on your shoulders, and to represent it as it deserves to be represented. And I don't think that's been represented very well with Mr. Rocker.
Well, clearly you've made that case here. We can certainly see why there could very well be a change in hands, a change of the guard here at the huge show coming up here for our friends over at NBPW. I want everybody, again, please to follow them at NBP Wrestling on Instagram. Also like their page on Facebook. You can also follow the Juggernaut, Jon Allens. Please like his page on Facebook, Real Jon Allens PW. Also on Instagram as well. And my name is the Reverend Tom Brice. And if you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, you can give us a like and follow on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. Also, YouTube, Sportswire Radio, just past the 600 follower mark on Facebook. A lot of new subscribers on YouTube. I really appreciate that. And well, if you're bored of wrestling or sick of me, you can listen to us anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year on sportnarium.com/player. We play music, we play talk, we do all different things. Live DJs are also on there. So anytime you want to check us out, you can do that here. But in the meantime, got about another 10 or 15 minutes here with Jon Allens, who's taking time out of his busy day here to get us ready here for his match. Arguably, I think is going to steal the show, because if you got a chance to see the first match between Tommy Rocker and the Juggernaut Jon Allens, I have a very good feeling we're going to see a real treat in store next Monday. And speaking of champions that is saying hello here to us, we have a champion from our friend over at Wrestling Championship Entertainment, all the way in the state of Wisconsin, Appleton, Wisconsin. And we're going to hear from one of those champions, Craven Rage. He's the all-out champion at WC. Going to hear from him Wednesday night. That'll be 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central Time. He says, hello, Mr. Tom Brice, the best talk show around the world. And hello, Mr. Juggernaut. I wish you the best of luck on your upcoming match. I believe you will achieve the goal. That's some good words. I mean, I know that the wrestlers seem to respect you. The fans, maybe they don't know what they're talking about. But tonight we've heard from wrestlers, 4 wrestlers that seem like, I guess what the moral of the story is here is that the guys in the locker rooms, the guys in the know, they've seen your talent, they've seen what you can do, and they seem like they're cheering you on, and they think you're going to represent NPBW, and that Mr. Rocker's days are numbered.
Yeah, numbered in as much as he's got about 9 of them left before I break him.
Well, I got a feeling that that might be the case, and I'll speak with Mr. Rage ahead of his championship match next weekend against Prince Charles in kind of a similar situation than you here. And also, I have a comment here from Mr. Big Cheese Logan, an interesting one here. The Juggernaut looks like a serious challenger for the Big Cheese. Now, let me throw this out there.
You don't want none of this.
Well, I was going to ask you that because I'm glad this comes up here, because the Big Cheese is going to be with us next Monday in your chair, right around the same time. This is coming up this Monday, right about 8 o'clock British Standard Time, maybe a little bit earlier than you. And he put out an open challenge last time he was on the show. And, I mean, he's a big guy. He's also done a lot of different things like you. And, I mean, would you want to square off against this guy? Let's say you're the NPPW champion. Would you want to take your title and maybe try to take his title over in the CWE? Is that something you'd be interested in, or what do you say toward that?
I should never back down from a fight in my life. So if that's something that Mr. Cheesy over here wants, I don't know why he would, but, if that's something that he wants, then I've no problem coming and taking you apart, mate. No bother. I've seen him in action. I've seen him around. I know who he is.
Yep, I'm sure you do. Johnny Palmer's been in the ring with him. Mr. Joel Cobra right now is back and forth with him. I mean, he's a big guy, but you're a big
He
guy
is a big
too.
guy.
You think it's fair to say that he hasn't been in the ring with somebody like you?
He wouldn't still be here if he had.
Fair play.
He wouldn't be making comments like that if he had.
So do you think he's maybe underestimating someone like you, especially because next Monday you're going to have a championship?
I don't know. I think like me, he just likes a good fight.
That's true.
So perhaps we could make that happen.
Maybe it's the MMA background in him. He's an MMA guy. You're obviously a tough fighter. I mean, maybe that's something. I'll have to ask him. I'll tell you what. Well, he's here with us Monday night, and he actually responds. He says, "I love a good fight."
Excellent. Me too.
So would you
and maybe
say
even maybe just maybe the tag team gets reignited. Maybe we've just got to batter each other first, and we'll see how that goes.
I have another wrestling promotion that's tuned in here. I think people are starting to get warmed up right now, so people want to talk to you. They're very impressed with you. They're looking at your size. They're looking at the fact you're here. You're going to take this championship away. And I'm sure you've heard of this company called Breakout Pro Wrestling, and they're run by a number of different companies. They have a big show coming up June the 11th. It's going to be Hammerhead, Smith, and Disciple is going to be a part of it. Sean Only is going to have an open challenge. The Modern Day Mafia there, yada, 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 right? And they say evening, gentlemen. So I'm going to ask you then a question. I wasn't prepared to ask you this, but we are live, and I should ask it to you because I have a responsibility to do that. Let's say next Monday, you're the new British Promotions champion. Would you like to wrestle in other companies like a Breakout Pro Wrestling, or what do you say to it, stuff like that?
Absolutely. There's plenty of places that I've not been. So I'm always on the lookout for different places to go, different people to face off against, different environments. I'm always up for that. So absolutely, 100%. If that's something that we can talk about, let's talk about it.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm actually going to do you a favor because I like the fact you came on my show. I'm actually going to tell you that Friday, live here on Sportswire Radio, we're going to have somebody from Breakout Pro Wrestling. His name is Ben, and he seems to know a thing or two about the company. I'm going to ask Ben about you. I'm going to ask Ben if he's looking for more talent, and we're going to certainly make sure that Mr. Ben gets the opportunity to answer what you had to say. So you might want to stay tuned for that here. I got a couple of more comments here because people, like I said, are starting to get warmed up. The Big Cheese says, leave it all in the ring. Batter each other, shake hands afterwards. It's a double winner. Fight then pint. But are you a shake hands guys? Are you a shake hands guys afterwards? So
if you're not a complete maggot like someone like Tommy Rocco, and you've got a little bit of honor, and it's been a good fight. We both come away maybe a little bit blooded. But ultimately, once we've won each other's respect, I see no reason why we can't have a drink, shake hands.
So what kind of drink then do you like then?
Me? Normally I go top shelf. So the pint you can have, but I'll be having a whiskey.
I'll tell you what, this will be interesting. But I have a comment, it seems like, directly from an individual that seems to know a little bit about NBPW. So let me read off this comment if you don't mind. How confident does John feel about becoming a double champion on May 29th?
Okay, well, that's something we've not really spoke about, have we? We've talked about the championship with Tommy, that match. Yep. There's also going to be a match for the King of the Old School Championship. Yep. On that same show. So what you're doing to me, right? So they've got me in the match with Tommy for the heavyweight belt, and they're making me wrestle again for this. Now, I'm not saying I'm not up to the challenge, but a double champion, well, I'm walking away with one of them, so why not both?
Why not? I mean, listen, why not you, right? You could go from all of a sudden being from a guy who hadn't held singles gold in your career to being, let's say, the Juggernaut 2 belts. I mean, if you want to go put it out there, I mean, you could be John 2 belts, whatever you want to call it.
Johnny 2 belts sounds like it would shift a lot of T-shirts, don't you think?
Well, I'll tell you what, you're here with us, so I might have to agree. And I'll tell you what, I mean, let's say, with this possibility of the two matches. Now, I'm going to ask you thoughts. Does it distract you from one or the other, or focus on one over the other? Obviously, King of Old School is a different type of match. You're one
Hmm.
on one with Tommy Rocker. I mean, how do you go about, let's say, both those matches?
I mean, I approach them both in different ways because one of them's a rumble, a battle royal, and one of them's a singles. So the battle royal, that's all about survival, attrition, really. Let the others fight it out. I'm not stupid. I don't need to be jumping in and getting in, every scrape and scrap that's happening in that ring. If I can just pick my spots, pick my targets, then that's the game plan there. But for a singles match like Tommy, I've been preparing for that for probably the last 2 months. Um, the diet's better, the gym's better, the training's better. I've just had to ramp everything up because I'm coming to win. I'm not coming to lose. I'm not coming to walk away empty-handed. So in terms of the preparation outside of the ring, that's pretty much the same, but the game plan for the match is very, very different.
Well, I would even argue with Tommy Rocker. You've really had 8 months of this on your mind, because that match
I
was 8
have.
months
It's been
ago.
eating away at me actually because he's winds me up so much. So much. You've
I could see it because, again, the way the match ended. I mean, listen, it was kind of a bizarre outcome. You
Mhm.
really, to your credit, I mean, listen, anybody, again, go on YouTube, do a search, Tommy Rocker versus Jon Allens. You'll see what we're talking about here. You had the upper hand in that match for pretty much the entire time.
I
You were
nearly broke
firm.
his arm.
Well, you had a lot to contend with, and you had outside interference, if you want to
Uh
call it
huh.
that way. You had objects,
What do you
and
mean?
you had the upper hand in that match. So I'll give you that much for sure, 100%. But I kind of think in the match with Tommy, you have maybe a better grasp, because in a Rumble, you don't know what's going to happen. Your odds are
No.
certainly different than Tommy. So I was kind of curious in a way, just on how you go about something like this. What do you think you do differently? I mean, you talked about the training. I could see that. I could certainly. In
Mhm.
a Rumble, though, you don't know who you're going to be up against. That was just
No.
my point.
And you've got to have eyes in the back of your head because it could come from anywhere. So, excuse me. I think it's like I say. I'm not going to hide. Certainly not going to hide. But I'm going to pick my spots, pick my
Okay,
targets.
fair
You
play
got to do
here.
it smart. You got to do it smart.
Well, I think in a Rumble, at least, you're able to maybe pick your spots a little bit. You might be able to kind of, let's say, maybe, I don't know, kind of wait it out a little bit. If you want to even try
Hundred
the
percent.
Randy Orton thing one year, you can do that. Tommy, obviously we've covered quite a bit. I want to get to Craven Rage here, and he has a
Okay.
comment here. I really respect the Juggernaut. He is big, and I've seen your work in the ring. I respect your craft. I love his confidence. From a champion in his own business, I know that you will be a dominant champion at the end of the day. That is my prediction. So certainly,
This guy's smart. You see.
well, that's why, and he's a veteran, by the way. I have it from firm authority that he's getting ready for his nearly 25th year in the business. So this
That's cool.
Craven Rage, he's been in there a long time, and he's certainly seen a lot in his career. And he's going to be with us Wednesday night, Thursday morning, your time.
Awesome.
We'll certainly talk a lot about that. So I have to ask you something, and I
Mhm.
don't know what you think, because now we're going to talk about for a couple of minutes here before I move on to closing thoughts. And I really
Sure.
appreciate your time here about the King of the Old School. I mean, do you prefer, if it's one title over the other? Is there one that you would prefer over the other?
No, I think my mindset is come away with both. Why would you not be the new British promotion heavyweight king of the old school? Right?
It's got a good ring to it. I tell you what,
You
it's
know?
very catchy. It's a catchy
Mm.
ring to it. I'll give you that much. The new British promotions King of Old School. Yeah, maybe they should
I've
just do
got
that.
I've got a pretty old school mindset. A lot of my influence comes from guys like Arn Anderson.
I was going to ask you that. I was
Yeah.
waiting for
Okay.
this. because I was almost kind of wondering, in a way, you almost look like a cross between Arn Anderson and C.W. Anderson. Are you in some way like an offspring of Arn Anderson, or any
I
way?
might need to have a chat with my mum and dad about that one and see where she was 33 years ago.
Well, I tell you what, I was kind of like, should I bring it up? Should I not bring it up? And I'm kind of like, maybe I should, because in a way, you do look like you might be related or just some type of offspring to Mr. Anderson, which is, by the way, not a bad thing. By the way, Arn Anderson. Just so you know, you're gonna probably appreciate this. When I was a kid, I used to bowl, and one of
Hmm.
my first teams that I named my team after, because I was actually a huge Arn Anderson fan, also was the one time he was in the WWF, he
Hmm.
was called the Brain Busters with Tully Blanchard. So that was my first bowling team I ever got a chance to name, was off Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, the Brain Busters, because I thought they were geniuses in the ring. They were smart. Their ring psychology was the best. They were technical. They were just amazing. So in a
Hmm.
way, I just thought that was just my not to respect there, but we'll certainly see. And again, I want everybody to follow our friends over NBPW. I want to thank them for this opportunity. NBP Wrestling on Instagram, Facebook. The Juggernaut Jon Allens, give him a follow and like on Facebook. Real Jon Allens PW also on Instagram as well. Definitely subscribe to him, because he could be Johnny Two Belts. Listen, forget about Johnny Storm. Everybody talks about Johnny Storm and the 80 promotions he's wrestled in. They're going to be saying Johnny Two Belts. That's the Johnny that they're going to be talking about here. I have no doubt. Next Monday, Hare Hills Labor Club in Leeds. It's going to be him and Tommy Rock, and he's also in that huge Rumble match for the King of the Old School title. So again, he's pretty much made his stakes here claim. So before I get to closing thoughts here, I want to give you the opportunity in twofold. The first is, I'm going to let you say anything to whoever you may square off with in the King of the Old School Rumble. So what do you want to say to anybody, any of your opponents there in that match first?
Well, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be nobody else in that match that is as old school minded as me. I'm already the king of the old school walking into that match. I just got to get the title to go along with it, you know?
Pretty
So,
fair.
yeah.
Yeah, you do look like the definitely definition of old school. So I could definitely say that you would definitely be an old school looking guy. Myself, I could definitely wholeheartedly agree. And then I'm obviously going to give you the opportunity to address Mr. Rocker one more time. Obviously, any final thoughts, anything you want to say to him before next Monday, the rematch? Forget about the Thriller in Manila. Forget about Ali Frazier. Forget about Lewis Holyfield. Forget about Fury and Wilder. Forget about anybody else you could think of that's a rematch. This is probably going to be the biggest rematch that anybody's thinking about here in all of wrestling. Roman and Brock and Bobby and Roman, just you name them. Forget about all of it. Cody and Brock, just Seth and Cody, AJ and Seth, whatever it might be, throw them all out the window, because you and Tommy Rocker is going to be the rematch the wrestling world, especially NBPW, is waiting for. So I give you the opportunity. Your final thoughts to Mr. Rocker before next Monday.
I'm getting a little bit sick of talking about Tommy Rocker, but I suppose it's only really a good thing for him, because this is the most that anyone's going to talk about Tommy Rocker for a long time. Once I've finished with him, no one's going to be talking about Tommy Rocker. They're going to be talking about the Juggernaut Jon Allens, maybe talking about Johnny Two Belts, but definitely talking about the Juggernaut Jon Allens, the champion.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, it could be that this rocker named Tommy Rocker could potentially be out of tune if the Juggernaut Jon Allens has his way here at the new British Promotions Wrestling Hare Hills Labor Club event coming up here, bank holiday next Monday. It's Memorial Day weekend here in America. It's bank holiday next Monday, and Jon Allens could certainly change the fate of his career coming up, as he very well may be on his way not only to one, but two championships here, and he'll be in the King of Old School Rumble. He'll also be here in the ring against Tommy Rocker, the rematch that the world has been waiting for, especially NBPW fans. It'll be for that new British Promotions title that, for now, Tommy Rocker has held. And forget about Martin Kirby, forget about Johnny Storm. The rematch is what everyone's waiting for, and we'll see if Mr. Rocker's days are numbered. My friend, I appreciate the opportunity that you've given us here tonight. So I want to give you any closing thoughts, any other social medias you want to plug, anything else you want to say to anybody out there. It could be management, fans of yours, wrestlers that have tuned in here tonight. And I thank you for spending a few minutes with us here on Sportswire Radio. And the floor is yours, my friend.
No, just make sure you give me a follow, obviously, and the promotion as well. NBP, give them a follow on all their social media if you want to see what's going to happen next Monday. That's the place to be. If you can, if you're in the country, obviously, I know you've got a lot of your followers in the States. Maybe even get a flight over in the next week and come and see what's going to happen.
I will tell you this much. I've been doing this for 4.5 years, and I've been covering British wrestling just about, I want to say, since COVID, so about 2.5 years.
Okay.
And I have gotten so many, this is kind of like off character, I've gotten so many requests from wrestlers that have said, please, come, I'd love to meet you. I've actually met one. I met the former LWF champion, Reynaldo, who came here to New York, and I'm supposed to meet the former KOW champion, Sheriff Steele, later next month. But certainly, it's certainly on my bucket list. It's certainly a mission. I hope to actually, if I come out there, I'll buy you the pint. I'll make sure to buy you the pint if I come out there, and I hope to meet everybody out there. It's definitely something on the bucket list, so it's definitely it's in the works. I will definitely try to make it happen. But in the meantime, I'm definitely going to be watching you out there in the ring. Going to be watching all of your stuff. Everybody, please follow you. And thank you for this opportunity. I really can't thank you enough.
No, thank you for talking to me. Appreciate it.
That's my absolute pleasure. And before I get off, I want to give a happy birthday wish to all the way from somebody who's watching us in California, Anastasia Rizny, a big wrestling fan of yours, and watches all of our stuff on Sportswire. Very, very loyal supporter, and really want to thank her for watching and tuning in all the way. I think it's like 1:30 California time, Pacific Standard Time. So thank you, Anastasia, for spending your time on your birthday to watch us here, of course, because Jon Allens is going to be a world champion. That's kind of why you're in here. But obviously, happy birthday.
What a birthday.
Well, what a birthday.
You know, like the best birthday. Happy birthday from me, sincerely.
I think so. Listen, forget about going to the movies. Forget about Guardians of the Galaxy. Forget about Fast and the Furious XX. You're seeing what Jon Allens is saying, so that's why you're going to have a great birthday. But thank you, Anastasia, for tuning in. I'll be back here tomorrow night with more wrestling coverage. It'll be with James Marshall, the Interstate Openweight Champion from Wrestling Championship Entertainment, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before that, I'll be with the former ROEW champion, the good guy CJ Black, ahead of his match coming up here against Jack Delta. That'll be 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Stay tuned. It'll be on all of our platforms. And Anastasia actually wants to say thank you. So thank you. She appreciates that. So good stuff there. So we thank everybody here for tuning in. If you're on sportnarium.com/player, you go back to your regularly scheduled program. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, I'll be back again tomorrow. Doubleheader of coverage with CJ Black, the good guy, the former ROEW champion, and then James Marshall, the Interstate Openweight champion of WC. Thank you, everybody. Good night, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. On the number one global radio station.